What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackmine, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers prepare for the Cincinnati Bengals this week. A lot of conversations out there about many things with this team, the future more specifically. And today we're diving into two very hot quarterback takes that I think need to be brought to the surface, plus a little bit of news and notes that ironically fit the news of the Pittsburgh Steelers both today and 20 years ago. And I love how they combined in a 24-hour span. It's a good one here in the Berg. It's sunny, just got back from practice. Not the greatest news. We'll dive into that here in a moment. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling more lively today, brother. A little bit more happy. You know what I'm saying? Which is a good feeling. How you feeling, my friend?
I'm feeling good as always. Glad you're feeling better. Yesterday felt like a tough day for you. You know, from this side of the pod, it felt like there was a lot that you were processing and going through, and it felt like you just needed some rest. So I'm glad that you're doing better, and I'm glad that we can come back here with a recharged version of the well-rested Big Strack in the black Cadillac. And I'm also doing well. We're one day closer to football, man. How can you be doing bad? You know?
That's what they say. Every day you get closer to football is a good day. I told the person that will remain unnamed today that he was in my head so bad yesterday that he kind of ruined my whole afternoon. He got a good laugh out of that. Didn't apologize at all. I'll hold that to him, but it's all right. It's a good day. Pittsburgh Steelers, they're playing football in a couple of days. So let's start with the news and notes of the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're going to start with some injury news today. Alex Highsmith dealing with the pec injury. Not the first time we've dealt or talked about Alex Highsmith having an injury this season. Missed the last 2 days of practice. I think it's very open from my understanding on whether or not he's going to actually play on Sunday. Pectoral injuries are definitely significant and something to monitor. We don't know the level of it. You got to hope that it's something not 100% serious, but it does look like something that is holding him off the practice field at bare minimum. No Alex Highsmith after the last two games where I thought he looked pretty impressive the last 2 weeks. How big of a blow is that to the Pittsburgh Steelers?
It's a big blow. Once again, to be without Alex Highsmith is not that this team can afford to be without any other starters or to not have any more important pieces on the field. But as you just stated, Alex Highsmith has been playing very well, and it seemed like where there was very few bright spots to point out and to find, he had been one of them over those past few games. So it's a tough one, but it also immediately presents an opportunity for Nick Herbig to play a bigger role, a larger role, to take on more snaps. And while you hate to see it come at the expense of Alex Highsmith, everyone continues to clamor and cheer for more opportunities for Nick Herbig. So to see him maybe step up and get that, I think, is the one positive to take out of that. So it's going to hurt. They have to get after the quarterback to try to beat the Bengals this time, but giving Herbig more chances on the field, not the worst outcome out of all this.
No, I like Nick Herbig getting more opportunities. I like Jack Sawyer getting more opportunities. It's just, it stinks that this is the season of injuries after a last season of injuries for Alex Highsmith, and it seems to be continuing. I do not, and this is purely a guess, but I do not expect him to play on Sunday. You know, I could be wrong there. A lot of things could change in 24 hours, but it's not even as if he's limited or doing anything on the sidelines of practice. He is hanging out in sweatsuits. That's never a good move. You never love to see that. Alex Highsmith is a guy that does not need to practice in order to play, but pectoral injuries are significant. You know, they're always something that could really definitely hold you back. I worry if that's happening with him right now. The other news and notes of the day, ironically, is about Asante Samuel Jr.'s father, Asante Samuel Sr., who's been on a rampage, if you've been following his Twitter account for the last 2 days. But in the midst of things, went off on James Harrison in an absolutely just a blasphemous, destroyed him on this podcast. You got the clip for us. Let's hear his words.
Love to hear it. So it starts off just with a bang, and as Asante Samuel Sr. is describing what James Harrison has to say about their old meetings back in the day. He begins with, yes, James Harrison is crying. Big Debo, he's crying about the AFC Championship, talking about us, the Patriots, whooping the Steelers in the 2004 AFC Championship game. He goes on to say, it sounds like we had better coaching than you, brother. It sounds like y'all was out coached, and it's sad to hear you cry about it now. And he goes on to say just a little bit more, because they beat us in the regular season and we whooped them 41-27 AFC Championship. James Harrison thinks we cheated. Why is Harrison, why is James Harrison acting like it's not super hard to beat a team twice? We all know that in the NFL, it is super hard to beat a team twice.
Yikes. First off, I love that he says, screw it. I don't care that my kid just signed there 2 days ago. I'm going to do him no favors. I think that's hilarious. Secondly, there are a few people in the NFL over the last 25 years that I truly think would legitimately not view James Harrison as a life threat, as a potential murder weapon of a human. Asante Samuel kind of feels like one of those guys. You know, he was one of the dudes. He was talking a lot of smack on the field. He was fighting dudes on the field. He could care less. Kind of struck me as that guy. James Harrison remains the last person I'd ever talk smack to on the planet. Doesn't matter. And Asante Samuel, look at, man, what's your thoughts on that? Because sometimes I watch Debo and Joe Hayden go at it on their podcast, and I could see Joe from the opposite side of the screen get nervous about the interactions that they're having. I can only imagine actually talking smack to that man. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, not at all. I think it's important context here. I agree. I would not be saying anything to incite that man. What struck me, what stood out the most, more than anything in these comments, is I did not know there was anybody who was still talking as if what the Patriots were doing back in 2004 was anything other than cheating. Was it, a gray area in terms of what was defined and not defined per NFL rule books, and were they skirting certain rules? Sure, yes, whatever. The fact of the matter is they were cheating. Everyone knows that they were cheating. Everyone who was a part of that team knows that they were doing, not everyone was reaping the benefits as much as other players on the Patriots were. Not everyone was benefiting. Sure, they were illegally capturing footage of other teams' practices without other teams' consent in ways that the NFL was not allowing teams to do. I don't know how else you describe that. I don't know what else you are supposed to call that. Again, I did not know 21 years later there were any people who were like, we were just hard to beat that day. It's like, yeah, you're no wonder you were hard to beat. You knew every single play call coming against you. I wonder how that happened. Like, that was the craziest part about it. The subplot. How, if James Harrison tells me that the earth is flat, I'm like, you know what? Got to consider it. Got to consider it.
Yeah.
It's Debo saying it,
Yes. If James Harrison told me to do most things, I think in pure fear, I would say, aye, Captain. Yes, sir. Sounds good to me. Shout out to Asante Samuel. Shout out to the entire team from New England who thinks that they did not cheat when they did. That was a real thing that you guys were doing and got caught. But again, if you're talking smack to James Harrison, you will murder me, not in my sleep, at all times, anytime. So I will not talk much smack to you. Shout out to Asante Samuel. All right, let's talk some current day Pittsburgh Steelers football. We've got some crazy quarterback situations to dive into today. Some crazy ones. And I understand it's a boring week. I was just talking to people yesterday and today about this. Like, we're at the point of the season where if there is no like big crazy headlines going on, there's not anything to talk about right now. Like the Steelers are not a great football team. It's too early to write them off. It's also too early to declare them anything more than what they are right now. They're playing the Cincinnati Bengals for the second time. And really there's it's not a game where you're sitting here going, can you beat the Bengals? Can you make adjustments? No, there are no adjustments. Are the Bengals going to run 60 slants, and are the Steelers going to be able to stop those 60 slants? If that's the case, yes. If that's not the case, this is a bad time. This is a bad time for the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's as boring of a time in the season as it gets. It's the worst. The week 11 to like week 15, worst time of the season, 100%. For the Steelers, people will take that and they will run a billion different directions. The quarterback is the easy one. We've got John Gruden quotes. We've got Chris Hoke quotes, and the list keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse for the Pittsburgh Steelers' future at quarterback. Let's start with Chris Hoke. You got the quote there on who he believes the next quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers is going to be.
Nope, I don't. I'm sorry.
Doesn't have it up. Doesn't have it up. Do you have the Will Howard one?
I got the Will Howard one.
All right. This is what John Gruden had to say on Will Howard.
Good old John Gruden said, I love Will Howard. I'm thankful that he is up. I'm shocked that he's going to be on the bench, that he's going to be on the bench much longer. I just think he has everything that you're looking for. We won a Super Bowl with Brad Johnson. He's got that prototype size I like. He's 6'4", he's 225, 230. He's built like a horse. I mean, he's built like a horse. He's a big guy who can run the ball. You can run the quarterback power plays and all these quarterback draws that everybody likes to run. He can keep it on the zone read. He's an accurate passer. Huge praise from John Gruden.
Let me tell you this. If John Gruden was a head coach in the NFL, I could guarantee you Will Howard would not be starting for him. But he does love to talk about how great Will Howard is. Chris Hoke, on the other side of this, said that it will not be Will Howard in 2026, who's the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. You want to know who it will be? You want to know who his top 3 options are from the Steelers Super Bowl champion here? Their current starter in Aaron Rodgers, the guy who they're facing on Sunday in Joe Flacco, and then the guy who does not have a starting job in the NFL. And no, it is not third-string quarterback Russell Wilson. It is Kirk Cousins. Where have we gone wrong? That is the question. Of the crazy list that you have in front of you, my friend, who is the most realistic name for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Man, I hate it all. I hate all the options. Shout out. It's not just former Steelers Chris Hoke who believes that these options. There was an article on ESPN talking about them being those 3 quarterbacks also being a possibility for the Steelers in 2026, as well as Kyler Murray from the Arizona Cardinals. I think when you look at the totality of all of these and the preschool class options that they have at their disposal, here comes. Whoa! I think it feels like Aaron Rodgers is the most realistic, or Joe Flacco, and those are. Could we see this would be the craziest, most this would be one of those days where, or this would be one of those scenarios where I'd be like, Noah, do we have to cover this if this were to come true? But
you have to.
You see Aaron Rodgers and Joe Flacco both being signed. There's no, that's hell hath froze over if we get to a place like that. It's going to be one. You can only have one over 40 quarterback per NFL team. I have to double check the handbook on that, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive. I am, unless the Steelers turn it around completely. What is Aaron Rodgers coming back for? You know what I mean? He's got a wide receiver 1 in DK Metcalf who drops a lot of footballs. He's got a pretty terrible left tackle, which contributes to a pretty rocky offensive line. He's got a team that's not really doing much. They have no wide receiver 2. Their 11 tight ends haven't really panned out to be the tight end group that they want it to be. There's nothing where we sit today that tells me Aaron Rodgers wants to come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers or come back to the NFL at all after this season. It just kind of feels like the smelling salts are there and tough. And all right, I'm going to change my answer. You want to know who my most realistic name on this list is? It's Joe Flacco. It's Joe finished the AFC North Flacco. And you want to know who number 2 on my list is? Will Howard. It's Will Howard. Do I think that the Steelers draft a quarterback in the first round next season? Yes. Am I guaranteeing that? No. If they do, Will Howard could go as far out of town as possible. It's not going to happen. If they do not, I think it's equally as big of a shot that the Steelers give Will Howard the opportunity as they would signing Joe Flacco. Those would be my two names. And either one would stink. At least Will Howard is given a shot in the dark. You know what I mean? Joe Flacco's not winning you a Super Bowl. He's just not. But Will Howard at least is 25 years old, and who knows? You know what I mean? Jesus rose twice. That could happen. That could happen. I'm just saying that's what it would take to have another Tom Brady. People want to allude him to the GOAT. That's it. That's where we got to be here. Those are my realistic options in this outcome. I think it's Flacco. If not, I feel confident in saying it's Will Howard if they don't draft somebody.
It seems like if the Steelers continue on this trajectory, if they are going to be, a mediocre team as well, the deck is probably stacked in Will Howard's favor, and then that would make sense for a veteran to come in as well, right? Someone has to come in and mentor, maybe pick up the slack, maybe be someone who could start if Will Howard falters and struggles. And I think Joe Flacco is a very, very logical pick in that scenario. So I can't disagree with you. It does nothing. I repeat, zero, not a zilch for me to have a quarterback room constructed of Will Howard and Joe Flacco and Skylar Thompson, oh, yippee. Oh boy.
No, you got to if you're going to go do something with Will Howard, he either has to be your starter or you have to draft. That's my outlook on the Steelers. And maybe you feel differently, but the only thing I see the Steelers improving on and giving themselves a shot with this season, whether it's the best draft class or not, I do not care. Draft a quarterback in the first round for the next 2 seasons. I don't care. Is either you start Will Howard or you draft a rookie. Those are my only 2 options if I'm Pittsburgh right now. Those are the only 2 that I deem acceptable. And I have no faith that Will Howard's going to turn into a starter in the NFL. None. I will sit there and hopefully one day he proves me wrong and I will come on the show and a lot of people will tell me that I'm switching it up, that I'm you hated on Will Howard for so long. Yes, I agree. However, I do not have faith in him, but he is the only logical option outside of drafting a quarterback because he's the only one that you don't know if they're going to turn out to be good or not. Everybody else, I could care less. Is he a potential franchise quarterback? Will Howard is significantly closer to being that than Joe Flacco, Kirk Cousins, Kyler Murray, and Aaron Rodgers. So, yes. And again, do I have faith? No. But it's not about having faith. It's about just spit. You are sitting there with a dartboard going, please stick, please stick, please stick, and hoping one sticks. And that stick better be under the age of 25 years old. It's my only requirement.
This is a very religiously themed language we're hearing from you today, man.
What else did I say that was religious? Throwing darts on a dartboard.
No, the faith thing. Oh man, and the thing about Jesus.
Yeah, dude, he rose twice. Tom Brady, bro. Tom Brady's the GOAT. And people will say,
"Wait, that's the only Tom Brady's the Jesus in this analogy."
Yes, yes. Because he was the only 6th round pick to ever do this. And everybody wants to say, well, Tom Brady did it. Yeah, okay. Say that to every 6th round quarterback that's ever played in the NFL. Sounds good. But you never know. You never know.
Incredible.
You never know. Would you go Will Howard before any of these older quarterbacks?
Yes, 100%. Because listen, if you're, and it's the same reason that, I wouldn't want Aaron Rodgers to come back if we go 10-7 and there's like a reason that, he's going to push through for another year as a mentor. If you're going to be bad, why not just give someone else a shot? Like if you're going to be bad, if you don't think you have much, if you don't think you have the roster to surround a quarterback once again, and you don't have the Aaron Rodgers type, the player who can make up the difference in your mind, why are you going to go out and expend any sort of money on bringing in another expensive free agent or figuring out what to do with Kyler Murray's contract situation? You can just start Will Howard. Are you going to get good results? Most likely not, but if you do, great. You know what I mean? You found your cheap alternative, your cheap option that you can use for a little bit as a stopgap, and maybe he is a little bit more than that. So I see no reason to explore the veteran QB market once again in 2026. If you don't have your answer, just start Will Howard, see what you got, and then figure it out from there for 2027.
Do you see the people out there talking about, and I saw this on the Rich Eisen show the other day. We're talking a lot of Rich Eisen the last couple of days. Their overreaction, one of their overreaction Mondays was that the Steelers should turn to Mason Rudolph. It's time to start Mason Rudolph. If the season got bad enough this season, or maybe I'm crazy, I'm not even considering Mason Rudolph. Will Howard is the only other quarterback that I would start in 2025 if things got so, like the season's over. You know what I mean? This is not saving the season. This is the season's over. Will Howard's the only quarterback I'm starting. Mason Rudolph's not touching a starting snap unless you are 8-9. Aaron Rodgers is out for some reason whatsoever, and or for some reason out there, and you need an actual shot to win a game. Besides that, Mason Rudolph's not even close. Not even close.
I would not like, yeah, what situation does Mason Rudolph present any sort of, like, if you need a win, Aaron Rodgers is your guy. If you are not trying to win, you're, how old is Mason Rudolph? You could tell me
29.
He's 30 or 68. Yep, that's
29.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what good does your 29-year-old career backup? What good does it do to have him in the game? I think it's an obvious move that if Will Howard should be the only other quarterback who starts this year, and that is circumstantial, right? It's this team has not won a game in 4 weeks. This team is probably not going to win again. So let's just start this rookie and see if anybody has any chemistry heading into next season.
There would be no. Could you imagine? Could you imagine what Aaron Rodgers would have to throw 30 interceptions in a 5-game span for me to be like, time to bench him. It's time to put him on the bench. That's the end of this one. And think that your season is still alive. There's just no. It's not comparable to names like Kenny or Mitch or Russell Wilson. Like it's Aaron Rodgers. Like it's not. It's a totally different circumstance. It's a totally different circumstance. All right, we'll do this again because we do this a billion times. And it seems to change. I'll ask you 2 here. Who's the starting quarterback for the Steelers in week 18 of the season? And who's the starting quarterback next year if they don't draft a quarterback?
Oh, okay. This is a great question. Great question. I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to finish this season out, and I think, there's going to be reason for him to continue to play out. I would be shocked to see this team under 500 heading into week 17 and week 18. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be that starter. And I think if they don't draft someone else, I think Will Howard, and this is not just a byproduct of our conversation, but, a little bit, done some good convincing, I'd say. I think Will Howard has a great shot to be the starter if they don't add someone that they consider to be a top tier talent in the draft. So, good old Will Howard.
Will Howard.
Me and John Gruden. We love this kid.
Could you, Matt, for all the people who are out here saying John Gruden replace Mike Tomlin after the season, could be a match made in heaven. Could be John Gruden coming like, I ain't drafting quarterback. We already got our quarterback. So that's the national champion out of Ohio State. That's Will Howard. That's what
Gruden needs new shorts.
That's what it is. My guess at the end of the season is Aaron Rodgers. I think the Steelers are 9-8 with a potential shot to make the playoffs. And next season, starter if they do not draft a quarterback. My prediction is Will Howard. I think that if the Steelers go, and this might open a whole can of worms, but if the Steelers go 9-8, make the playoffs, first round exit, I think that the philosophy this offseason changes completely. I don't think Mike Tomlin loses his job. I simply think that he and everybody else acknowledges that it's time to give somebody else a shot to see if they can make it work. And that somebody right now is Will Howard. So that's my guess if they don't. However, I think they will. One more question I got for you in that time. Where today, if the draft happened today, how high does a rookie need to be drafted for you to consider him day one starter?
Ooh. Well, to be quite honest, I think the round that the player is drafted in is not the deciding factor in whether or not they could be in the starting competition heading into 2026. I think the question that the Steelers have to answer is what round do they feel comfortable taking someone right now? Is it, do they see any first or second round talents like you talk recently? I don't think there is a ton, or ones that you would feel very comfortable turning the keys of your offense over to immediately. So it's hard to say like, okay, they need to get someone in the first or second round, because I can't even picture like who that guy is, right? Like there's maybe a couple players I like right now. Again, I'm skeptical if I want to turn the offense over to them. So I think it has to be a top, 3 rounds ideally, right? Like this is someone that you have done your research into, you've prioritized, a lot about, you've met with. I'd like to see someone that they've invested some time and resources into, sure. But just because you get a first, second, third round guy doesn't mean that you're just like, all right, this is the starter. Like Will Howard might just be better. Whoever else they might bring in addition to that might still just be a better fit. So it's not so much about the round, but I guess the fit to the scheme and how much the Steelers are putting into that guy moving forward.
I think a third round pick is where I end it. Third round pick, you're getting a guy like Mason Rudolph. I think that you give him an opportunity over Will Howard. I think a 4th, 5th, 6th round pick, you're competing with Will Howard, and Will's probably got the upper hand, not by much, but by a little bit. But I think a third round pick in my head, if you take a third round quarterback, he's your starting quarterback week 1, which is wild because he's not going to succeed. He's just not going to succeed. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to draft the third round. You're not going to draft a Spencer Rattler and say, it's your guy right there starting. No, it doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't. Those stuff doesn't happen very often. All right. With that said, that's everything on our agenda today. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions. So toss them in the chat. We'll be back in 30 seconds.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to our super chatters. Shout out to our members. Can't thank you guys enough. Before we get going, hit that like, hit that subscribe button. And no, Will Howard did not run over my dog. I like Will Howard. I think he's a good guy. I just have not. I don't judge players most of the time, especially college guys. I don't judge players off of what I see, but rather what I hear and what scouts and people within the NFL tell me, because I think they have a much better eye for it. And I'm just like, I'm going off of, I judge those guys off of what I see and then what I see during training camp. And again, I was very optimistic about Will. I thought he looked very comfortable in what the Steelers were running. Do I think that he looked like an NFL quarterback? I don't think he didn't look like an NFL. I thought he looked better than Kenny Pickett when Kenny Pickett showed up. And I think he looked better than Kenny Pickett when Kenny Pickett left, to be really honest with you. But I don't think that was a high bar. So just didn't hear many good things about Will in the draft process and what he brought. And I think that stuck with me. Andy Joe.
It's from John Gruden.
Yeah. And to be honest, I don't know John. Me and John ain't that tight. Wish we were. That would be awesome. John, you want to be pals? Shoot me an email. Become a member. You'll get the email. Shoot me an email. Call the number. Leave a voicemail. Say, hey, it's John Gruden. Give me a call. I'll give you a call back. Potentially, if I want to. If you leave a good question. Andy Joe. Did you guys see that Harry Mack visited the Steelers? Really nice video. It's the first time I've seen Coach T smile in quite a while. I might be totally ignorant here, but I have to look up who Harry Mack is.
I was going to ask you, dude.
Let me look him up. He's an American. Oh, that's sick, actually. Harry Mack is the guy that he's on TikTok, and he just does the raps, like he freestyles to people on like Omegle and stuff, Omegle, whatever it's called, where it'll be like pick a number and an object, and they'll be like squirrel 6, and then he just goes off. You know who I'm talking about?
I'm looking at a picture of this man.
Never seen him?
No.
Wow, I kind of wish I met him. Kind of wish I saw him.
No.
Didn't see him today. That's a bummer. He is a stud. Shout out to Harry Mack.
He's like that fungi dude down by PPG Paints Arena. Remember that?
Yes. Yes.
He's like,
probably
and he just rapped for like 12 hours.
Yeah. That guy was a stud. Harry Mack's a stud. I think they work very well together. Harry Mack's, go look up Harry Mack. You might, depending on your level of obsession with your phone and how strong the willpower is to be able to put it down, you might get lost in some Harry Mack videos for like a couple hours you'll just scroll TikTok. Just
definitely want to see what he did with the Steelers. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Shout out to Harry Mack. Chris, guys, I adore your hope, but I think we are far too gone to recover. We have young talent on the O and D lines, but at outside linebacker, but we need to rebuild ASAP. Chris, I got to be honest. If you think that we are hopeful right now, I feel like you got to read the rest of the comments telling us that we are the debiest of the downers. I went out and in my to go this morning said very candidly that the Pittsburgh Steelers can win a Super Bowl if they get to the playoffs only because of Aaron Rodgers. And I stand by that because I think that if you put Aaron out there, I don't know what to expect. But the last time the Steelers had a quarterback that if you gave him an opportunity, you just couldn't rule it out was Ben Roethlisberger, but he was playing with the worst offensive line the NFL's ever seen. Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool as his wide receivers, and things were they were not great. So it's a different situation. It's not the best situation, but I think it's better. And I think because of that, if you get in there, I think anything could happen. Would I bet on it? No. But would I sit here and say there's a 0% chance? No, I couldn't do. Being somebody who's watched sports long enough to see the chaos happen throughout my life, I can't say yes, or I can't say no that they would have zero chance.
Yeah, sure. Yes. I can say definitively that I don't know if they are totally down and out when it comes to the playoffs. That's what and that is, I understand a very wishy-washy answer, but that it can all change in a week, and it frequently does. We sit here and we ride the wave week in, week out when it comes to this team, and we talk about it with each other and with the picnic pack, and we just kind of go through it. But if they come out here and they respond and play a lot better than they did against the Cincinnati Bengals in their first matchup in this upcoming game on Sunday, we're probably talking about, can this team win the AFC North, and can they win more than a playoff game again, right? Like it can, the narrative and the response to the team changes so quickly. I think it is no sure thing that they should be counted out right now. I'm not confident that they're not a Super Bowl team. There's no way they're a Super Bowl team. I understand the reasoning. I understand the logic behind people who might think that way. And I get, if we have the quarterback and Aaron Rodgers, perhaps that we could just believe in him and ride it all the way. I just don't share that opinion.
That's fine, but and Chris feels the same way, and only time will tell, guys. Chris, be ready to cry if Kirk Cousins is our next quarterback. Kirk is so low on my list, but I do know that the Steelers had interest in Kirk Cousins last time he was a free agent. So you never know. The Steelers definitely made a phone call to Kirk Cousins. He was way out of their price range, but they made a phone call to Kirk Cousins and they felt confident in it. I think their view on veteran quarterbacks is going to change drastically after this season. But Kirk Cousins is last on my. You could sign Joe Flacco, Kyler Murray, Tyrod Taylor. You could bring back Justin Fields before I say you should put Kirk Cousins out there and just see what happens.
I've said this before on this podcast, but I just think Kirk Cousins is the greatest swindler in NFL history. I just don't think anyone has made more money to do less. And there's probably a more quantifiable way to share or to find that conclusion on who is probably the most overpaid player in NFL history. But
dude, it's got to be close to him.
I'd nominate good old Kirky for that one.
Yeah. Shout out to, I think, but he does have more playoff wins than the Pittsburgh Steelers. the last 8 years.
And there it is, a mic drop right for it.
He does. He does. Poke my spinal confusion salad. Howard supported Tate, Emeka Ibuka, and Smith at Ohio, plus set the completion percentage record. I do not get the hate. I just don't get it. Draft a wide receiver, corner, safety, and an offensive lineman. I think a lot of people think that we hate Will Howard, and I just don't hate Will Howard. I don't know, man. Like, I don't see it. Like I don't know what there is to see. And again, maybe I could be totally wrong. But I don't hate Will Howard, and I don't hate the thought of Will Howard. I just think that there's more out there. You know, I'd go Will Howard over any veteran in the NFL, any one of them. That's realistic.
I'm totally fine with that. And I agree with you. I don't think there's a need to, when you look at who is just going to give you a 9-8 season, that he's probably one of those quarterbacks. Will Howard is in 2026, along with the rest of those veterans who would be in the potential pool of Steelers signees or players that they might trade for. The thing that gets me about this, and I'm trying to pull up a list here as I talk, is let's talk about Ohio State quarterbacks versus Ohio State wide receivers, right? Like,
yes, I think it's a good conversation
because who fares better in the NFL? It ain't the quarterbacks, it's the wide receivers. Close. So, let's
you can run through them.
I was gonna say Justin Fields is the first one that comes to mind. Obviously, as a Steelers player, Julian Sainz the one right now. Will Howard, before Will Howard, I don't know.
I don't know who's there before Will Howard either.
That's what
I don't.
Yeah.
But if you're going Jackson Smith, Najigba, Emeka Ibuka, you're looking Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Who else is out there? You could go as far back as Mike Thomas. You could go. I can't name can you pull up the list of recent Ohio State quarterbacks? Because I do think that's a great conversation. I actually don't look at it at all as wide receiver. The quarterback supported the wide receivers. Could be wrong on that, but
that's how I think it's kind of the other way around. Like you look at, what year is this from? That's from earlier this year. There's 7-8.
Terry
McLaurin.
Yeah.
And then you have guys like, Marvin Harrison Jr. we didn't name.
Yeah.
Curtis
Do you have
Samuel.
the list of quarterbacks? Can you pull up the list of Ohio State quarterbacks of the last 20 years or something?
Yeah, Ohio State.
CJ Stroud, who's
that's
good
that's
week.
One who's in the NFL.
In the NFL. But it's not.
Justin Fields is two.
Justin Fields is two. There's not many. There's not many that have made it over the last couple of years. Wow, I'm blanking on his name. Who just passed away from Pittsburgh?
Dwayne Haskins.
He was one of them, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He was this is no disrespect to him as a person, but he wasn't
a starting quarterback.
Wasn't a starting
quarterback. Yeah. Do you have the list?
I have the sports reference for all these rosters up, so we'll go through it by year.
All right, sounds
Stroud
good.
Was 2002, 2001. CJ Stroud, Kyle McCord, Jack Miller. Let's check 2020. Justin Fields, we'll do that. Justin Fields. Yeah, all
right, so I got the list here. It's CJ. It's Will Howard was before or was after CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud's in the NFL. Justin Fields is in the NFL. Before that, it was Dwayne Haskins. Before that, it was JT Barrett. Before that, it was Braxton Miller. Before that, it was Terrell Pryor. Then it was Todd Boykman, and then it was Troy Smith. So it's not a successful list. It's not a successful list whatsoever. And Cardell Jones is in that list as well. Yeah, it's just not. I don't know. We could be wrong, and I hope that we are. But I do not look at it as Will Howard supported wide receivers, but the other way around. Sure. Chris, Rogers and I went on a wellness retreat to take peyote enemas. We had a vision of our Enemas, thank you. We had a vision of Art Rooney, and Chief says Kirk Cousins will lead us next year. Man, dude, could you imagine Rodgers sitting there being like, "Yeah, pal, I'm retiring. Sorry, sorry, brother. I hope you have a good time. Hope you have a good time." I just shout out.
The Chief, I would say, rolls over in his grave at the possibility of Kirk Cousins being the quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Yeah. The Chiefs are struggling right now. Leroy, listened to your morning show, and I agree with the 9-7 New York Giants can compete for a Super Bowl. Why can't we? And I missed the smooth music you had to start the show. I was getting hate for the smooth music. Now I think I got to go back. I think we got to switch it up. I like this. I liked the smooth jazz, to be honest. I was a smooth jazz kind of guy.
Jazz.
A little smooth music in the morning. A little bit. Yeah, I think that the Steelers, and again, Jacob doesn't feel the same way, but I feel that if they get in there, anything could happen with Aaron Rodgers, just like anything happened with Ben Roethlisberger, and just like anything happened with Eli Manning, which is the craziest of the group by far. And anything can happen. Would you bet on it? No chance, But I think right now it's getting to the Super Bowl or getting to the playoffs, because I don't think that's going to be easy right now. I think you have to win the AFC North or it's not going to happen. And I don't think that's a guarantee right now. So you got to beat Cincinnati on Sunday. If you could do that, great. If not, you're in trouble. Do you think that there's any? I don't think there's any chance you make the playoffs right now if you don't win the AFC North if you're the Steelers.
No, yeah, I don't think so. The AFC West seems to have too much power. They have too many good teams, too many teams vying for spots in the playoffs. AFC East is much better as well. It's hard to see any other teams besides the AFC North winner making the playoffs right now. So I certainly agree with you there. Do you think? Yeah, I can't see there being two. I know we talked about it a little bit like yesterday, but it's just there's no way that a 9-8 Steelers team hypothetically gets in over another AFC West team. So yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, you got it'd be LA and they just have the tiebreaker on you, so it's not gonna happen. Trevor, going to the game Sunday, any suggestions with the guys before? Also, how would you feel about Carnell Tate in the first round to strengthen the wide receiver room? I think if he falls to Pittsburgh, yes, I think 100%. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's ridiculous. I'm all about it. I don't think he's going to fall to Pittsburgh, and I am not moving up for a wide receiver. You can't convince me to. There's no debate I'm willing to have. You don't move up for a wide receiver. There are enough in this draft that one will fall to you. If you got to move up 2 picks, great. If you got to move up 7 to 10, no chance. There's just no chance I'd do it. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick when it's all said and done. I just think he's too good. I hope I'm wrong and that he's a top 25 pick and the Steelers could land him, but I would go Carnell Tate easy. Suggestions with the guys before the game. Mike's Beer Bar is always my go-to. I think it's close, convenient, and easy. I went to Redbeard's the other day before the Packers game to meet my brother and his buddies. I thought that was fun.
Did you eat there?
Oh yeah. Had a couple of wings.
Gins eat.
Yeah, Yins ate.
I like Redbeard's. I've had some not great experiences.
No, Redbeard's is very hit or miss. Used to be way better than what it is, I think. Mike's Beer Bar is good. You can get a steak on a rock.
I'm not super familiar, honestly, with that's. What makes me so sad every time people ask us about where to go on the North Shore is the fact that the Jerome Bettis Grill isn't around anymore. That was
the Jerome Bettis Grill was cool. Fun cool. Fact: Jerome Bettis's potential fake brother. It definitely was not his brother, but somebody was in that bar one time right at the end, hitting on somebody that an older person that I know, like our parents' age, but not my parents. And they called me and said, "Hey, does Jerome Bettis have a brother?" And I said, "Yeah, I think so."
He does have a younger brother.
Yeah. And they said, "Cool. Can you Google a picture because he keeps telling me not to, but I don't think it's him. And I Googled a picture. I said, and I texted it to them and they said, that's not him. I said, all right, you should stop talking to this person. Sounds good. But they bought all their food for them. So shout out. Jerome Bettis was good.
The best part about the Jerome Bettis grill was that you could see the restaurant while you peed at a urinal.
That was my favorite part, actually. I hope that's still there. I don't know what's there now. The Jason Aldean bar, I think.
I was gonna say it's like a country. I
think it's the Jason
Aldean
Aldean
other
one.
name, but Jason Aldean. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah. I hope that they kept that. That was my favorite part too. You could just stand there at the urinal and you could stare somebody right in the eyes and just be like, "You don't even know that I'm peeing right now. You have no idea. You have no idea."
Yeah, I mean, I'm like a teenager when that happened because this place has been closed for years.
For years. Nate needs more salad. Imagine thinking that a successful future for the Steelers involves Noah's favorite quarterback throwing to Jacob's favorite wide receiver. I hope that happens. I hope it happens.
We disagree on that staunchly, my friend.
I hope it happens. Duffy Buckets. Harry Mack recently spit for Kendrick and unprocessed him even. Him spitting for Kendrick is crazy. I'm telling you, you got to go look up Harry Mack.
I will.
He's fun. He's fun to watch. You'll get into him forever.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're talking about it, he will only be on both of our algorithms for the next year at least.
Oh, for sure. Sure.
Did you guys know that Troy Fautano was a left tackle at Washington? If they gave up on Broad, could they switch Troy to left tackle this season? I don't think they'd change this season. I don't think they'd change him at all. Here's the wild reasoning behind them moving him to right tackle is that Michael Penix was a lefty. So they said, oh, well, he was essentially a right tackle anyways. What? Mm-hmm. How did we get there? Somebody go, did they just turn the film around or something? And they go, yeah, no, it doesn't. That's not how that works. It's not how that works at all. He is a left tackle. I think he should have played left tackle and you should have kept Broderick on the right side. That was my move because I could care less if Broderick Jones is a good or a bad right tackle. I mean, it stinks but your left tackle is so much more important than your right. I would have put Troy at left. They won't now, and I think it's too late to do it now, but I would have done it to begin with because he played left tackle in college.
That is the wildest.
That's real. That's really why they did that. I know that's why they did. I was told by somebody in that building that makes those decisions that is why they did that. Yes.
This is why. This is I'm good. That is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah.
I'll bite my tongue more because that's wild.
It's the dumbest thing ever. It's the dumbest decision they made, and you can't change it back now. I don't think that they would change them for Broad. Do you think that they'd change him back to? I think it's too late. But do you think that they would even consider moving him to left tackle next season if Broderick wasn't the move moving forward?
I think you have to consider it, and then this is obviously depending on what happens in the draft, what happens in free agency. Maybe they go out and get a full-time left tackle that they are really confident in. It's not going to be Broderick Jones. That's for darn sure. And I think if that doesn't happen, if it doesn't pan out, you have an option in Troy Fautanu. You have to at least ponder the question. You have to give some space for the possibility. If he can't do it or he has no interest or it doesn't seem like the best fit at that time, then you keep him at right tackle. He is developing into a very, very solid offensive lineman in the NFL. So you don't want to do this thing again where you are taking a player who grows at a certain position, flipping him to a different one, and then sort of resetting that whole entire process. And we kind of have seen how that can really affect a player's growth and development. So I don't want to see them do that with Fautanu, especially now that he has built such a strong first real season in the NFL.
I very much so agree. And the mess is, it almost feels, just go draft a left tackle. You know what I mean? Just go draft a left tackle and let's get it over with, and just don't touch it again for the next 15 years. Just let them all sit there for as long as possible. As long as possible. Bernard, should the Steelers bench Aaron Rodgers? Following up with, is Mike Tomlin mad? at Aaron Rodgers. I don't think he is mad at Aaron Rodgers. I truly don't. However, I went back and watched the LA game, which was tough, man. Let me tell you, don't do it. I would not recommend this.
I
But
did today. All 22 was brutal.
it was tough, right? It was hard to watch. I'm going to say this about Aaron Rodgers. Should they bench him? No chance. Shouldn't even consider it. I don't think Aaron Rodgers, I think the game itself was Aaron Rodgers' worst game, but I think Aaron's kind of developing a trend this season, and maybe this has been his whole career. I have no idea. I didn't watch Aaron Rodgers like this. I mean, I watched him, but I didn't you know what I mean? I didn't watch him like this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Aaron throws a very catchable football, like the Calvin Austin catch to me was I'm not going to say that was Aaron's fault, but it's such a fast release and it's so strong that it's not an easy football to catch whatsoever. And I think he's been doing that all season. I think he's making it kind of, I think life's a little tough for these wide receivers. Again, I'm not blaming Aaron for Calvin Austin not catching that football. I'm just saying when I went back and watched it, it almost felt like even the good passes were not very catchable passes.
I think there's a lot of, sorry, I feel like I have a hair or something in my eye, but I feel like there's a lot to what you're saying there. And I think it goes a little bit deeper than that, where it's kind of like one domino falls, keeps affecting the other, where I think that is the case. Those sort of touch passes that maybe Aaron Rodgers was finding success with in maybe the first couple of weeks of the season, those kind of passes have all but disappeared. And what I would attribute it to is the fact that he does not have a ton of time in the pocket, and he's often, it's often collapsing before he can even set his feet and throw that pass and maybe get his body right in order to execute that type of play. And so I think what you see is pockets collapsing. He's just out there zipping it. He's zinging a ball out there. And he throws fastballs after fastball after fastball. And I think I agree with you in the sense that there are maybe some equal split happening in terms of who is at fault for all of these very, very big plays not happening. The one that felt the most sort of egregious in terms of Aaron Rodgers, or most on him, was that ball to DK Metcalf in the first half, where if he had just taken a little bit off, he had so much space downfield to put that ball. He could, as long as he doesn't absolutely zip it, DK Metcalf is totally in the clear, and he fires that thing way past him, and DK didn't have a chance to catch it.
Yep.
Besides that, receivers are all I think Calvin should have had that ball that was intercepted, but
agreed.
I can see where you're coming from, and I think it points to a larger issue. Is I think my point to that.
I agree. Long story short, though, I do not think, just to answer these questions, I do not think the Steelers should bench A-Rod, and I also don't think Mike Tomlin is mad at Aaron Rodgers currently. That could change, but currently. Sasquatch Salad, this team needs legit weapons. DK is not one of them.
Ooh, shots fired.
Shots fired. I think DK is... Do you think... Let's just ask a very straightforward question. Do you think DK is a wide receiver one?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, I do. I don't think DK Metcalf's production, regardless this season, is enough to answer the question of, is he wide receiver one? I think you have to look at the entire offense. It doesn't matter who. George Pickens couldn't be a wide receiver one here. Deontay Dropson couldn't be a number one here. DK Metcalf struggles to be a number one here, quote unquote, in terms of production. And I think it points to the fact that this offense does not really support any sort of big playmakers, right? Jaylen Warren is without a doubt the best part of this offense this year. We're heading into week 11. They have still failed to figure out how to properly use him and how to rely on him in the offensive game. What makes you think that DK Metcalf, this gigantic hulking wide receiver who can be a very strong contested catch machine, he does have some dropping issues. That's noted throughout his entire career. But the fact of the matter is, he is the only thing that defenses focus on, and we see how few and far between the times that he truly is open, how much that happens. It's not a lot. So I think it's less about him as a player, more about the Steelers' failure to be a cohesive and competent offense.
That's a great answer. It's a great answer that I will not ruin with my voice. Russian cream. Thoughts on the Steelers trading Mike Tomlin to the Giants for a bunch of draft capital and maybe Malik Neighbors.
Oh, that won't
I mean,
happen.
it won't happen, but it'd be, I don't want to say awesome. It would be a conversation I'd be willing to have. Mike Tomlin wouldn't be willing to have that. He's got a no trade clause. The Steelers would not trade him. Here's the thing. The Steelers have no reason to fire Mike Tomlin after a 9-8 season again this season, even if they're first round of the out of the playoffs. I think that just speeds up the process of when this contract is over, it's over. You know, like I think that's what it does. I think the longer you stay 9-8, the longer this thing drags out. Trading him to the Giants, I mean, on the Steelers side of things, sure. If you feel you could fire or hire a head coach and you get Malik Neighbors and you get, I mean, if you're getting Malik Neighbors, you're getting a draft pick for Mike Tomlin. But if you're getting a draft pick and Malik Neighbors, a first round pick and Malik Neighbors, sure. You know, sure. I still don't think that's an even trade. That's my thing with trading head coaches is like, yeah, great. But the team that trades the head coach almost always loses that trade. Almost always. Because you just gave up somebody who's going to coach for 15 years for a player that might work out, you know, or might not. You got to pick them. So, I don't know. What would you get for the Giants? Malik Neighbors in the deal. What's a real trade?
Can I be completely honest? And maybe this is just a wild, lopsided trade. I would trade Mike Tomlin for Malik Neighbors. Like if the Giants wanted to do that, straight up. You're
not getting anything else for him. Sean Payton went for 2 first-round picks and a second.
Yeah, I get it. I don't really understand how to assess the trade value market for a head coach. What I see is this team and Mike Tomlin not really working as well as it should.
Mm-hmm.
This is not, year 3 of his entire tenure or career with the Steelers. This is year 3 million. Like, you can get a young, really talented wide receiver for him and then replace your head coach while also solving a really key part of your offensive issue. I would be okay with that as long as there was a sort of plan surrounding the rest in terms of who you're bringing in next, what the coaching staff looks like under him. I'm not saying it's maybe the best return, best value in terms of trade. Again, I don't think I really understand how you could get, like, if you told me to give up 2 first-round picks and a second for a head coach, I would just be like, no,
Here's the thing. This is what they're at. I think that's so, and I get it. You don't know, but like Sean Payton, a first round and a second round pick from the Saints. John Gruden traded for 2 first round picks, 2 second round picks, and $8 million. Bill Belichick was traded for a first, a fourth, a seventh. And that's before he was even good. Mike Holmgren in 99 was traded for a second, and Bill Parcells was traded for a first, a second, a third, a fourth, and $300,000. I think for Mike T,
wild
in his prime, I think you're getting Malik and at least a first round pick. At least a first round pick.
I would take that deal.
And I would take it
in a heartbeat.
Yep. Yes, I would take it. Mm-hmm. I would take it. Cody Silva, what's up, Nick and Nick, my guys? Shout out, dude. Shout out. Hopefully good old Belski's just hanging around, doing his thing. Poke my spinal confusion salad. Y'all need some Shadowgrass and Billy Strings on your playlist. Tony Rice and Norman Blake for old school bluegrass for life. Color me. Billy Strings is my go-to. I will say I'm a big Billy Strings guy. My dad was like almost a rock star when I was a kid, so I grew up with like weird music tastes, and that's why like people will be like, "What's your favorite rapper ever?" I'm like, Kid Cudi. They're like, "That's not a rapper." I'm like, "I know, dude, but I'm weird."
He's a rapper.
It's just Kid Cudi, man. It's just Kid Cudi. Billy Strings is one of my favorite
hip-hop artists
of all time. Shout out.
I don't know a lot of bluegrass music. I got to admit, I feel like, thankful for it, byproducts of it. but I'm not really familiar with the genre.
I was gonna say that stuns me. Like just knowing you, really just you know, but just the stories you've told me. That does surprise me that you didn't like, you know.
I don't know
that
any of
you-
those names.
Oh, dude, go listen to some Billy Strings, man.
No, that I'll do that before I listen to Harry Mack. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, you'll like Billy Strings.
After
I'd
I
go
saw his
Billy.
face.
Yeah, Billy Strings is where it's at. Billy Strings is where it's at. Sasquatch Salad, true number ones beat double teams. I disagree with this. I think yes, like I hear your point. I also, nah. I think a defensive plan against the Pittsburgh Steelers right now is they're only going to run the football 15 times, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. Just focus on DK Metcalf and shut DK Metcalf down. I don't know. Like I think there's levels to it. I think when people say stuff like this, it's like, oh, Calvin Johnson beat every double team. It's like, yeah, all right, yeah, DK Metcalf's not Calvin Johnson. Okay. Doesn't mean he's not, a good wide receiver. Doesn't mean he's not AJ Brown level or something of that capacity.
For sure. And I think it's kind of unfair to say that he doesn't, get open, or to make that sort of assertion. Again, we talked about that play where he was facing double coverage and he was wide open, just didn't connect with the pass from the quarterback. There was another play I was watching, and it's a classic slant route. I feel like a route that the Steelers have found some success getting the ball to, but there has to be, there's like 4 or 5 guys all within a couple of yards that Rodgers has to feed this ball into. And so I think the question is not, I think it's unfair overall to say that DK Metcalf is not getting open, because despite being the focal point of defenses, I think he's doing some things to get open, and it's just hard because his quarterback can't get him the ball in time. And again, it's not just DK can't get open. It's not just Aaron Rodgers can't throw the ball anymore. It is all of that plus their offensive line. It's all of that plus their running game. It's all of that in totality making this offense and their parts look so miserable at times individually.
Yes. That's actually, yes, exactly. Peter Mike, what quarterback would you want to target in the draft, or would you rather run it back with there? No, I'd rather draft a quarterback. I know you're not very high on the quarterback class right now. I like what I'm starting to see out of Ty Simpson a lot. I know the Steelers love Fernando Mendoza, like love him. Right now, I know, without giving away too much, yeah, the Steelers, if possible, would move up for one quarterback in the draft. That quarterback is probably Fernando Mendoza. And I say probably as a definite. That being said, like, I think everybody's aware that's not going to happen. Whoever drafts number one is going to take Fernando Mendoza, and then it's going to be it. But Ty Simpson would be my realistic. I'm starting to like Ty Simpson. I also know that the Steelers do really like the kid out of Oregon, Dante Moore, and what he's kind of developing into as well.
I think those are some good. I would take any of those 3 names, just to not go on a huge tangent, over running it back with Aaron Rodgers for sure.
Yes. And Lenore Sellers, but I think I'm past it. I don't think Lenore's is coming out.
Agreed.
Yeah. Duffy Buckets. I read today that Rush's demotion worsens our comp pick. I thought comp picks were just salary based. I meant Mac impressed Kendrick. That's crazy that Mac impressed Kendrick. That's awesome. Crazy. And no, it's based off of salary and playing time. So like the Steelers still had a chance for Russ's pick to improve back to a third, which is what it was originally, if he played more this season. But since he got demoted to a third, the Steelers will now almost definitely end up with a 4th round pick for Russell Wilson. Maybe a 5th. I think it's a 4th though for Russ. So shout out to Russ, man. QB3.
Shout
Russell
out
Wilson.
Jameis Winston.
That's a guy right there.
Did you see his whatchamacallit, his interview today with the Giants press?
No.
it was so good. He, at one point, he was like talking about how he's going to be surgical with his precision and stuff like that. And then he was just talking about how he was lucky to play quarterback in the greatest city in the world, and then started singing the lyrics from Hamilton, which are the same words.
So awesome.
And I was like, this guy's classic. Love him.
He is my favorite non-Steelers quarterback in the NFL with ease.
Easy.
With ease.
Yeah, easily.
Cody Silva, negative no was my favorite. Fire Tomlin. It was a tough day, guys. I had a headache afterwards. I think it was from the negativity. I'm just a generally positive human being, man. Stressed out, positive human. I'm the most stressed out, smiling guy on the planet, potentially. You know what I mean?
That's
like
so true.
you know what I mean?
True.
Like, I'm always in a good mood, but I'm also ready to put my face through a wall. And it's just, you know what I mean? That's the 10 we live on. So negative, no, it didn't feel good. Didn't feel good. I was in bed by 8:45 max. Stephen Cornfield, Will Howard for president. No quarterbacks in the draft next year that the Steelers could realistically acquire are all dookie compared to Will. I think it'd be good. I would enjoy watching a competition. I would enjoy that. I don't make those decisions though. Shout out to Will Howard. I do like Will Howard as a person. Let's just make that very clear. That I would root for Will Howard if he succeed. If he got an opportunity in Pittsburgh, I would root for Will Howard. 100,000%. David,
Same.
Should we elevate Asante Samuel Jr. soon so another team can't poach him, aka the Eagles, since Jair Alexander walked away, which was the Eagles, man. Like every day, I think the Steelers have nothing going on. It's a very quiet season. I can only imagine being in Philadelphia right now. Be watching a lot of Twitch. Shout out to the Eagles. So this is what could happen. I know people are worried about the Asante Samuel thing. If a team like the Philadelphia Eagles came and tried to sign Asante Samuel Jr., he would get an opportunity to say no and sign with the Steelers. Now, is that guaranteed that he would do that? No. Is it guaranteed the Steelers would make him that offer and sign him to the practice or to the active roster? No. But that option is there, and that would allow them some opportunity to say no to poaching him. I think he'll be on the active roster in the next 2 weeks, but I think it's going to take those 2 weeks before he's elevated. But that is the guidelines. They could get an opportunity to sign him. It's not like you just show up and say, "I want that guy," and then he's there. Also, shout out to Isaiah Hodgins. It was fun. It was a good time. It was a good time. Thanks. It was a good time. Poke my spinal confusion salad on God. Why the hell would we trade? Oh, for Shedeur Sanders, which I missed it. I missed it here. One of the questions was, should the Steelers trade for Shedeur Sanders in the offseason?
No, I think you can probably just sign him when he gets cut.
Yeah, there's a possibility for sure. Rats, Mac Jones for quarterback next year. Would you put Mac Jones up against any of the veterans we talked about earlier? Joe Flacco, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins.
I would prefer Mac Jones for sure.
Yeah, how crazy is that? How crazy is
it's not good. Again, none of it all equates to 9-8, 8-9, 7-10. You know what I mean? Like you're not. It's not like, oh, Mac Jones, the savior of Pittsburgh. It's he comes in here and we do this all again in 27.
Shout out. Maddie, why was the 2026 quarterback class so hyped up? The same reason that like Carson Beck and Shedeur Sanders was hyped up coming into 2025. Like it's the quarterback classes are always, it's going to be ridiculous. And then you hear it out and you see what happens. It happens every single season. It's a fun time. Always. It's always a fun time. Lindsay, did they bench Russ? Do we really think they are benching Aaron Rodgers no matter how bad it gets? No, there is no possibility. The Steelers season would be so over. What are they right now? 5-4. They're 6-10 going into the last week of the season. Season's done. They're seeing what they get in Will Howard. That's the only way that the Steelers bench Aaron Rodgers in my head. Only way. There's nothing else you could do to bench him.
Why else would you? There's no other scenario. I can't even throw one at you.
Mason Rudolph for quarterback 2025. No. Cody Silva, JPJ, and DK have the same catching skills. It is true. Just a couple of bricks for hands. Couple of bricks for hands. Shout out. Purple Yeti pack. I fully agree. No, I think we should do. I know, just see what we got there and leaning into getting a better pick, even if it's not a quarterback, trade up and go get the next TJ Watt. I'm not into trading up in the first round unless it's like a guarantee. Defenders, you could talk me into sometimes. Offensive linemen, you could talk me into sometimes. Quarterbacks, you could talk me into sometimes. Wide receivers are iffy to me just because I think that they're so hit or miss in the first round. They're equal to quarterbacks, but it's a franchise. It's a quarterback, like it's the most important person on the field. I think that's about it, though. I'm trading up in the second round. I'm taking those 11 third and fourth round picks, and I'm going to get a second round pick. Like, let me get that, because that you come up with some gas in the second with your second rounder, and that's where you find some guys.
Agreed. I love that idea. Second and third round, I think you can get some real quality players. So I like that.
Yeah. Mikey Brown heading to Pittsburgh for the Bengals. Did we already? If not, any good restaurants on the North Shore? Mike's Beer Bar. Shout out Mike's Beer. We should get sponsored by Mike's Beer Bar. Feel like at this point, Mike, come on. You at least owe us a steak on a stone. Shout out my guy. I also, if you're into burgers, Burgatory ain't bad. Burgatory definitely ain't bad. It's decent. Little burger, a little milkshake, a little game. You know what I'm saying? It's a good time. It's a good time. Enigma After Dark, Noah and Jacob, if it's more common that you don't find immediate success when assembling a bunch of veterans for a Super Bowl run, why blow up the team after one, fix the holes on the team, and run it back? I think they've done this. Yeah, I feel like if this was like 4 years ago, I feel differently. But I think that they've done it so many times and they've gotten the same results so many times that it's not running it back anymore. It's just like, here's attempt 6. They've done it since Kenny Pickett's second season is when it really started. That's when I will put it, because Kenny Pickett's rookie season was like a Mitch Trubisky's our starting quarterback. There wasn't a real season. From Kenny Pickett's second season till now, which is 3 seasons, last 3 years, I think they've done it. Like, I think that's what they've done every single year. So I don't even know if I would consider running it back at this point. I don't.
There's nothing to run back. It's just not a good team to run back. You have to fix too many holes and you have to improve the team too much. So I don't want to see them run it back. That to me sounds like saying, yo, Tennessee Titans, let's run it back. Whole squad. Let's
whole squad, one year. One time.
Let Cam cook.
Cam's going to cook eventually. No doubt about it. Duffy Buckets. My buddies call me a Tomlin Glazer. Firstly, I know the standard is chips and playoff success, but give me 9 to 10 wins and a competitive team fighting to make the playoffs every year over going 5-12, 7-10, knowing we're trashed before the year starts. I think this is the reality that people will see if they Steelers ever do fire Mike Tomlin, is that 4-11 or 4-13, 5-12. Those are real outcomes that teams have. And the Steelers, I think people underestimate how difficult it is to go 9-8 in the NFL. Like, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not like, oh, I can't believe the Jets haven't got 9-8 in like 30 years. It's like, no, it's crazy hard to go 9-8 in the NFL. I don't think you could get past it without having one of those bad years, maybe 2 of those bad years. But I think that's that's a tough situation to admit defeat is tough. It's tough. It's a really difficult thing to do. But I think people who say fire Tomlin, myself included, but I mean, I could, if the Steelers go 4-12, like, it does. I'm not losing any sleep. You know what I mean? I'm sitting here going, yep, saw that coming. And I think I've almost made my bed there and feel okay with. I don't feel okay with it. I feel like it might be a necessary evil.
Whew. What times we're living in, buddy? What times?
Let's finish it off with Tyrone here. No, did the Steelers miss George Pickens?
I mean, their offense does.
Their offense definitely does. The locker room does not, by no means. I can only imagine what a GP I kind of miss him. You know what I mean? I kind of miss him. Is this time of the year?
Oh boy.
Oh, I think it'd be awesome. I live for it, guys. I live for it. I live for the tension. It's who I am. It's who I am. All right, guys. With that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. Find all our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. Hit that like button as you're heading out of here. We can't thank you enough for that. And with that said, we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg.